Hello, this screen recording is for absolute beginners to the Linux operating system or to Unix in general. Many tutorials will ask you to open a terminal, a console, and then to create a file or to edit a file or to become super user, so to become the user root and then edit or create a file. We're going to learn very minimal information about three types of text editors: Nano in this case, Emacs, and VI. So let's say that the instructions tell you to create a file with the content help. The simplest thing that you could do is to go echo help and then create that file a.txt. In order to list and see what's inside the file, you have the cat command, and we can see that the content of the file a.txt is the text help. So this is the simplest way of creating a file with a very short content. Sometimes we are asked to just create a file and do not care about the contents. Just a file should exist and that's it. For that, we would use the touch command line. Let's say we need to create the file b.txt. If we're going to list the contents of the current directory, both the files a and b.txt exist, and the content of b.txt does not matter. In this case, it's empty. So this is the way to create an empty file. This is the way to create a file with a very simple content. This is the way to see what's inside of a file. This is the way of seeing the files which are not hidden in the current directory. Okay. So next, let's say that the instructions that we are following tell us to edit a file and add the lines, 1, 2, and 3. So first of all, we're going to edit the file a.txt. Let's start first with the text line executable, command line executable text user interface editor named nano. So we go nano and then the name of the file, a dot. I'm using autocompletion, pressing the tab key on my keyboard. This is how the GNU Nano text editor looks like. And we should add 3 more lines in here. 1, press enter, 2, press enter, 3. Let's make sure we have just one trailing line, new line. So after 3, there's an empty new line. We delete using the backspace key. Very similar to what you would use in a graphical user interface editor. Del key to delete. Arrow keys for movement. Page up, page down work as expected. Home and work as expected. And the rest of the more advanced commands are shown at the bottom. So we have Ctrl+G for help. This circumflex, acute sign, whatever character is in fact the Control key on your keyboard. So this thing is Ctrl+G. And it's not uppercase G, but it's lowercase g. So just Ctrl+G shows the help. And this is the help. How do we exit the help? Ctrl+x probably. And it is. When we're inside of the Linux or the Unix command line, maybe we're not even running a graphical user interface at all. We're in a TTY, and in there's no possibility of opening a web browser and copying text. So as a bare minimum minimorum, when using GNU Nano, you should know how to edit any file. So nano space and then the path to the file name, the full path, relative path to the file. Then we edit by moving around and deleting and putting our new text in there. And then the only thing that we actually also want is to save the changes that we did to a file and to exit. So that would be exit, which is Ctrl+X. And it asks, hey, the file that you have opened has been changed. Do you want to keep your changes? So it says in here in the bottom of the window that Y means yes and N means no. So you could write lowercase y. It asks the name that you want to write. Maybe you want to rename the current file or to create a copy of it. We usually do not want because we have opened the correct file from the command line. So we just press the enter key. Okay, so nano and then path to the file, opens the file, Ctrl+X to exit. If no change was made to the file, then there's no point in asking the user if the user wants to save the file and to which file. So that's why nano just exited when I pressed Ctrl+X, when there was no pending edit on the file. Okay. Sometimes we do not have nano installed. How do we install it? Well, using your package manager. In my case, I'm on a Linux operating system, Ubuntu 23.10, which is from the Debian family of Linux operating systems. So for me, that would be sudo apt install nano. Asks for the password of my user and installs it if it's not installed. Otherwise, it tells me that it's already installed. Okay. Then some details about nano. You can always search a text editor or any Linux command line on Wikipedia. You go wiki space and then the name of the application, wiki and then nano. It doesn't know what you mean by nano because there's a ton of things, but you actually want GNU Nano, a text editor for Unix-like systems. So this is the wiki page. It says information about the editor, including the official website. Okay. So we've managed to install GNU Nano. On some Linux operating systems, Nano comes pre-installed, but you cannot guarantee that Nano is pre-installed. Nano is an alternative to a previous text command line editor, which was named Pico from the Pine mail suite. And also on the internet, you can search for Nano, which is the name of the editor, and then cheat sheet, and should provide you with a just one page that you can actually print on real paper and have around in case you need to know more advanced command lines that Nano has. So for the most often command line tools that you use and editors, it's a good idea to actually print this thing on a piece of letter or A4 paper and have them around. Okay, so that would be all about Nano. Next up, another text editor that might be available on your operating system, or you might be forced to use, is Emacs, which is also a GNU application, GNU Emacs. And This text editor has both graphical user interface version and a text user interface version. But this screen recording is about what you do when you do not have a graphical user interface. For instance, you are connected remotely over SSH to another machine, or you're inside of a Docker container, or maybe your computer failed to boot and now you're troubleshooting and making your computer boot by booting from a live USB or by dropping to the single user terminal of your computer. Okay. So we're talking here just about the text user interface editor Emacs, which on my Linux distribution is called the package emacs-nox. Many other Linux operating systems and BSD operating systems have a similar binary package, which is named emacs-nox, where X means graphical user interface, the X server. So these are the subsets of the GNU Emacs text editor that can run in a text console. It's already installed on my machine. The executable name is just Emacs. Let's edit the file a.txt. So it's, if you want it, it's similar to nano in the sense that you can use the arrow keys to move around. You can use the backspace key to delete, the delete key to delete. And the only extra thing that you would need in order to survive inside Emacs is to know how to save an edited file and how to exit. So that would be, so let's put in here, for nano, there's Ctrl+x to exit and save. For Emacs, that's two combinations. So there's Ctrl+x Ctrl+s to save, Ctrl+x Ctrl+s to save, and then we want to exit. You press Ctrl key, you keep it pressed, and then you press the X. So that's Ctrl+x, and Ctrl+x expects another key combination. So we're going to go with the key combination Ctrl+c. So we press down Ctrl, keep it pressed, and press C, and it's saved. Okay, so again the same exercise, emacs a.txt. Let's add a fourth line in here, 4, and then press enter. Make sure we have just one trailing new line, so press backspace, and then we're going to save and exit. So Ctrl+x, you can see it in the status bar in here that it's expecting another key combination, and we're going to go press Ctrl key, keep it pressed, and then S. It said in the status bar route to the correct full path of the file. And then exit, Ctrl+x Ctrl+c. Okay. Next up is the VI text editor. I don't think I have ever encountered a system that doesn't have the VI text editor installed. Whether it's a Docker container, a remote computer, an emergency shell, anything else. So it's a very minimal text user interface text editor that you can run from your console, from your terminal. And it's been de facto standardized as part of the standards that are respected by Linux and Unix operating system, so part of POSIX. If nothing else works, if you don't have nano installed and you cannot install it, if you don't have emacs installed and you cannot install it, then there's great chance that an executable named vi actually exists on your system. So let's use it. This is the way vi looks on my computer. It might look different on your operating system. Right now it's in so this is the Wikipedia page for the vi text editor. For now we have looked at the family of text editors Nano, Pico, and the family Emacs. Now we're looking at the vi command line text editors. There's multiple to choose from. There's Vim, vi improved. There's a subset of Vim which is called Vim Tiny, which is available, for instance, on my machine installed by right now. There's also NVI, which is available in some BSD operating systems. And there's also BusyBox. BusyBox is a single executable, single file, and it has a VI editor mode. And the newest on the block is NeoVim. Okay, so let's start VI. Similarly to Emacs and Nano, we're going to start it and give it a file name. So vi a.txt. This is the most unintuitive of the three families, and it mandates that you know all of this information. So starting from line 10 up until line 30. And you need to know this really, really well. Okay, so we've started the file, the text editor, and provided a file name. If this file does not exist and we immediately exit, the file will not be created. If the file does not exist and we put some text in there and we save the content by telling it to save and exit, the file will be created. Let's actually look at this scenario. So we tell it to open a file that does not exist. This file does not exist. We exit, which is Q exclamation point, and the file was not created. Okay, so that's the first, how to open an existing file or a file that does not exist yet. Then we'll actually put some content in here. For that, the text editor has more modes, and the most important ones for us are normal, command line, and insert. And we need to juggle these three modes. Right now we're in the default mode, which is called normal, and we need to enter command line in order to, we need to enter insert mode in order to write characters into the file. So we transition from the normal mode to insert mode using the lowercase I key on my keyboard. And now I say, I know, hello. There. I can press new line, but I cannot use the arrow keys. So I can use the keys on my keyboard plus, so A to Z 0 to 9, the alphanumerics plus the enter key. Okay, I have created the initial content of the file. Now I want to save the file. For that, we're in insert mode. We need to get into normal mode by pressing the escape key. Now we're in normal mode. From normal mode, we get to the command line by pressing the colon. So we press colon. And now the command line to exit and save is WQ exclamation mark. Okay. The file has been created. We can look at its content. If we were to create a file and not save, let's say, where are you? VI. So we tell VI to open a file that does not exist. Let's put some content in here. We cannot put any content because we're in normal mode. In normal mode, if we press the letter W, nothing will happen. Or the command W will be executed, not the letter W will be added to the content of the file. So escape to be actually in normal mode. And I've accidentally created a new line, so I need to exit. We're in normal mode. Go to command line and exit without saving. Escape, colon, Q, exclamation point. The file has not been created. Okay, we're in normal mode. Don't forget to enter insert mode using lowercase I. And now we can start pressing keys on the keyboard alphanumerics. Hello dot. And now, although the file has a body, the text editor has text for this file, we do not want to save to the hard disk. So for that, we're selecting this option again. We're in insert mode. We need to exit there to be back in normal mode using the escape key. So escape once. Now we're in normal mode and we need to enter command line mode pressing colon. So this thing. Escape once, colon, Q, exclamation point, nothing will be saved. Again, the file 0009 does not exist. Okay, so if you want to actually put some content in there, we're in normal mode, press I to enter insert mode. Hello. Press escape to go back to normal mode. And then from normal go to command line by using colon. And then the rest of the command is write and then quit. And now the file has been created, 009.txt. Okay, so this is the most important modes in VI. Don't forget, whenever you want to use the arrow keys, you need to be in normal. Whenever you want to delete a character, you want to be in normal mode. When you want to go to the start of the file, to the end of the file, to search inside the file, you want to be in normal mode. Whenever you want to exit, you need to go to command line and run one of these two possibilities, either exit without saving or exit with saving. Okay, there's again different implementations of VI. Some of what's written in here might not be available in your VI implementation, or might behave differently. Okay, so let's go back to the last file that I have created. Let's put a bit of text in here and then have verify if the arrow keys work, if the down key works, if end key works, if del key works, and if backspace works. So let's get to here. Okay, so for that we're on the very first line, first character in normal mode, because that's how VI always starts, in normal mode, line 1, column 1. Let's go to insert mode and put more lines inside of the file. So I, first line. Fortunately, I can press the enter key. second line, third line. Okay, so remember, don't press backspace, doesn't work. Don't press delete, doesn't work. Don't navigate, so just alphanumerics, that's it. And dot, comma, semicolon, so the characters that you can see printed in a book. Okay, so we're in here, insert mode, so we press escape to go back to normal mode. Escape, we're in normal mode now. And now we can see which of these keys work or not. So the arrow key right works, arrow key left works. If these keys do not work, then we have the alternative L for going right and H to go left. Both work. Both left and H works, both right and L work. Do the same thing. Up or down arrow keys. K goes up, J goes down. So both this work, both this work, this work, this work. Let's see about home 0. Right key on my keyboard, and now press the home key, works. Right key, press the 0 key, and it works. End key works, left key, and then $sign. So that's Shift 4, and it works. Notice that the cursor is not between characters, as it's in graphical user interface text editors, but it's actually on one character. And also notice that you cannot put the cursor after the first character. So the cursor sits on the last character, which is like this, but then refuses to be after the last character. So basically the cursor is here. You can get to the first character, up to the last character, but then you cannot put a cursor after the last character. Okay, and then that creates some problems, and we'll see about those. And then make sure we're in normal mode, so press escape. And let's see if backspace works. So I'm pressing backspace key. Nothing happens, it just goes left. Escape. What about uppercase X? Uppercase X does work. Okay. Back to normal mode. We were in normal mode. Okay. So in my case, uppercase X does what backspace should do, which is delete the character at the left of the cursor, and then del. Let's see, del. So normal mode, escape, left, and then press del twice. It works. So the del key works, and probably also X works. Yes, it does. Let's save what we have. So escape. We were in insert mode, escape normal mode, and then let's write and exit. So escape, W, colon, WQ, and exit. Okay, let's also learn undo, because this will be mega handy. If you do not know how to undo, you can always exit without saving, enter VI again, and then edit from scratch. And if you're satisfied with the new content of the file, only then save and exit. So if you get in some troublesome situation where you just cannot edit the file, or you do not like how the edit has turned out, you can always exit without saving. Let's say that you have some modifications to the file, and you do not want to lose those modifications, but you don't like the last modification that you did. That's why you would use in normal mode the lowercase u to undo. Okay, so we're in normal mode. Let's navigate. We want to get here and put what was on the second line. So we're in normal mode in the correct place. We go lowercase I to enter insert mode. Okay, let's exit and edit some more. Insert mode space 2. And now let's test the undo mode. You should stay very little as possible in insert mode, especially here in VI versions that do not actually notify you if you're in insert mode or in normal mode or in whatever mode you are. Because in the status bar, in my case, it doesn't say insert or uppercase I when I'm in insert mode. But right now I'm in insert mode, so I should immediately exit by pressing escape. So you enter the insert mode, you do your minimal editing as fast as possible, but then you immediately press the escape key to return to safety, which is normal mode. Okay, and now let's test with normal mode. Let's test lowercase u for undo. So I deleted the space and the 2, which is the last edit that I did to the line. Okay, let's save again. Escape WQ question mark. Okay, so we have some limitations by the fact that we cannot, if in a graphical user interface, text editor, or in Nano or in Emacs, you just go to the end of the line and you press enter to get a new line, an empty line, which in this case, we're in normal mode, we cannot get after the dot. So if we enter insert mode now, we're pressing lowercase I and press enter, the dot will move to the wrong place. So you want to escape and then U to undo. So in this case, while we're in normal mode, we need to also memorize the following things. So DD deletes the current line, O adds one line and then enters edit insert mode, and A enters insert mode after the cursor. Okay, so let's see. We want to create an empty line between the first line and the second line. So we can get to put the cursor on the final character on the first line, which is the dot. And then if we press A means insert mode after the cursor. So let's see that. A. And now we can press new line. So that's one way of adding an empty line between two lines. Escape, U. Another way to do it is to go at the start of the next line. Go insert, press enter key, escape, and then navigate. And then insert again to get back to the just inserted second line. Another way that we can do this thing is to press the O. So make sure we're in normal mode and press O. So after the current line, inserts a new line. Okay. And then also, because you cannot press backspace while you're in insert mode, you need to go back to the normal mode, and let's try to delete the line, the empty line between third line and done. How do we do it? So we're in normal mode, backspace does not work, uppercase X does not work. So in this case, we are forced to learn this command, which is dd, which means delete the current line. So in normal mode, get to the correct line and press dd. The line will be deleted. Okay, so let's delete the other empty line, dd, and let's delete the double I. So that's uppercase X. And now we can save. So escape, colon, WQ, exclamation mark, and exit. So this is the minimum vocabulary that you need to have in VI in order to do the most elementary edits. Without this 20-line vocabulary, you cannot actually do almost anything. So this is the minimum minimorum, and you should learn it. There's 3 modes that we care about. There's more, but these are the basic that we're going to require for now in order to be able to edit any file in any way we need from the command line using VI. So there's normal mode, command line, normal, and insert mode. You switch from normal to command line using colon. You get out of command line back to normal pressing escape key. From normal mode, you go to insert mode by pressing lowercase I. From insert mode, you go back to normal by pressing the escape key. And once you're in command line mode, you can run one of these 2 commands to exit without saving or to exit and save. Depending on your keyboard, on your operating system, on the type of VI editor you're using, left arrow key might not work, but then H might work. So this is the minimum minimorum to move around and to delete. So delete with the del key or X, to delete the character that's on the cursor, and to delete a character to the left of the cursor, either backspace if that works for you, or uppercase X. Undo is very handy. So escape to get back to the normal mode, and then U. And then these 3 additional. DD deletes the current line. O after the current line inserts a new empty line. And A after the cursor will insert a new character. So let's recap those again. We're in normal mode. We need to add a new line. So let's do that twice. 2 new lines between first line and second line. So we press O twice. Not really, because it entered immediately insert mode, so you cannot press O twice. And with insert mode, backspace will not work, so we need to go escape and then delete. Back to make sure you're in normal mode and press O again. Escape back to normal mode, because right now we're in insert mode. After you press O, it adds a new line and then immediately does I, which is go from normal mode to insert mode. Okay. To insert a after the cursor, you usually want to use I most of the time, but then in this very complicated scenario where you're on the last character on the line and you want to put something after this character, you're forced to use A. Immediately after you finish typing alphanumeric characters, go back to safety. So press escape to go back to the normal mode. Okay, and that's the minimum minimorum. In case the only available command line text editor to you is VI, you need to know all of this vocabulary. So please do learn it. And let's now see how we can install VI and if I have it installed on my machine. So escape, go back to normal mode, right quit now, and I have more VIs on my machine. My VI is in fact this one, vim.tiny. And because I also have BusyBox available, I can start the VI implementation, the very bare bones implementation of VI inside BusyBox using a command line such as BusyBox VI, and then the name of a file. So in this case, 0009. It will look different. So on the left-hand side, there's the BusyBox VI, and on the right-hand side, there's Vim Tiny. These commands that I gave as a minimum vocabulary tend to work on BusyBox's VI also. So arrow keys all work, H, J, K, L work. These two command lines for exiting with saving or not do work. There's a normal mode, there's a command line mode, there's an insert mode. Okay, so backspace does not work. Uppercase X does work. Insert D, escape. Okay, let's see undo. Undo does work. And then D, D, O, and A. So let's go escape to go back to normal mode. Delete two lines, so DD, DD. Add a new line after the second line. O, we're in insert mode, get out immediately, escape. And enter insert after the cursor. Go back, go to the last character in the line, lowercase a. And that should be it. Back to safety, escape, normal mode, and let's save our changes. W, Q, and exclamation point. And the changes have been saved correctly to the file. So this should be it, the minimum minimorum that you need to know in order to edit text files from the command line. Why is this thing necessary? Why shouldn't you use Kate or Visual Studio Code or gedit or something, all of the other graphical user interface text editors all of the time? Because, for instance, when you're connected to the same machine but using another user account, then, for instance, I always use command line text editors. So let's become a super user. So now I am the user root. And if I want to edit a file that can only be edited by the user root, such as, I know, add CFS tab, either I cannot do it using graphical user interface text editors, or it doesn't work correctly, so I just do not even try. Whenever I'm at the command line connected as another user on my machine, I always use text user interface editors. Okay, and we're going to exit without saving, which is Ctrl+x Ctrl+c. Asks me if I want to save, and I'm going to answer with lowercase n. Modify buffers exist, exit anyway. Yes. And the changes were not saved. Or you might be connected using SSH to a different machine. Then again, you cannot start. Graphical user interface, editors. There's workarounds using SSHFS, using SCP to edit files remotely, so such that the graphical user interface text editor runs on my current machine, but then it edits files from the SSH server. But again, most of the times I do not bother. When I connect to a computer remotely and I need to do a small edit to a file, I'm going to use one of the text editors available on that machine, or I'm going to install emacs no-x and then use emacs. Or there's other more complex scenarios, such as you're connected using SSH to a machine, and then on that machine you need to connect via LXC or via a Docker to a container, or you need to connect to a command line virtual machine from there. Sometimes you're connected to a machine using text user interface, using the console, and then from there you're connected to another machine, and then you're connected to a I don't know, a container or a virtual machine. When you're in SSH, in situations like this, I again do not even bother to think how I could use a graphical user interface text editor. I always go for the command line text editor. If Emacs is available there, I'm going to use that. If not, I'm going to see if there's something in the family of nano, pico, SS or something. If that's not the case, then I'm going to use what's available there, and if I cannot install software, so I'm going to probably go with VI. Thank you.